Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. Today we continue our analysis of political factions in the Star Wars galaxy by looking at the Galactic Republic. So far we've looked at the Empire and Separatist Alliance, so be sure to check out those videos after you watch this one. We'll be using the chart from the Political Compass organization to explain where the Republic's political and economic policies fall. The northern and southern extremes of the compass represent authoritarian governments versus libertarian governments, while the left and right extremes represent planned economies versus free market economy. Keeping that in mind, let's take a look at the Galactic Republic, the galaxy's longest running and largest government. Although the Republic has evolved throughout the years, for the most part, its key structure has remained the same. Individual member states elect representatives who form the Galactic Senate. They in turn elect the executive power, which is known as the Supreme Chancellor. This is similar to certain parliamentary systems we have here on Earth, like Germany, where the parliament directly elects their own executive leader. The judicial branch, which was called the Supreme Court, is only mentioned in legends. It's made up of 12 justices. It's their job to interpret the Galactic Constitution. In its earlier days, the Republic was more like a confederation, a loose coalition of core world planets that joined forces for security and increased trade. As the Republic grew in size, so did the legislature and bureaucracy surrounding the government. Its member states represented thousands of different species and cultures. This diversity made the Republic a very interesting and rich place. Not only were each individual senators representing their people, they were also ambassadors for their worlds. Some senators represented entire regions, some represented powerful worlds, while other senators represented powerful private interests like corporations. The Senate system was a clever way for the Republic to allow many of the local systems to continue using their preferred method of government. This ranged from Republican monarchies, corporate boards, to hive mind collectives. It didn't really matter how you governed as long as you were able to select a representative for your people. But with so many member states, so many different alien races and cultures, and government types represented in the Republic, the Senate was constantly being pulled in a million different directions, making it less than effective. It also didn't help that the executive branch or High Chancellor position was a relatively weak position, especially during peacetime. The position held very little real power and was more of a moderator position, which was designed to facilitate the Senate procedures. Even so, there was still a 4-year term and a 2-term limit for the position. In moments of crises like during the Old Republic era and the Clone Wars period, the High Chancellor was oftentimes given emergency powers so that they could respond to threats without having to go through the Senate. But after a series of devastating wars between the Jedi and Sith Empire, the Republic passed the Ruusan Reformation, which formally disbanded the Republic's standing military and also demilitarized the Jedi Order. This would be a central part of the Republic's governing policy for the next 1,000 years until the rise of the New Order through Palpatine. Funding that was dedicated to raising and maintaining a federal military was redirected to subsidizing planetary and regional defense forces and militias. The dissolution of a federal military force and the redistribution of funding to more regional militias is something that's unheard of in our own galaxy. Although there have been examples of loose coalitions like the 13 colonies and Greek city-states in which military power was levied and controlled at the regional level. The lack of a federal military force limits the Republic's ability to enforce its laws, but instead of using brute force, the Republic uses taxation, trade, and legislation to get what they want. The Republic rarely needed to expand aggressively into new territories. The prospect of trade with the Republic was usually enough for a new planet or system to sign up, or at least establish friendly relations with the Republic. In 124 BBY, in order to encourage more business development and subsequently lower crime in the Outer Rim territory, the Republic declared the region a free trade zone. This encouraged many large corporations and conglomerates to shift their operations to the Outer Rim. Many governments here on Earth limit or restrict taxes as a way to attract business to certain locations or sectors of the economy. These policies were enacted by the Republic Trade Committee and Council. There are also many other Senate committees and subcommittees focused on governing different aspects of the galaxy. There are committees that were focused on maintaining the hyperspace lanes to facilitate safe travel throughout the galaxy. There are committees dedicated to exploration and first contact situations with new species. And all the legislation that is passed is enforced by what's known as the judicial forces. These peacekeeping officers were what remained of the Republic military after the Ruusan Reformation. They were lightly armed and used in a variety of situations, from tracking down pirates to settling planetary disputes. Because of the Republic's anti-militaristic policies, the judicials weren't really outfitted for all-out war. When things got really crazy, the Jedi Order would tag along and help out the judicials. The Jedi had a weird relationship with the Republic government. They weren't officially a part of the Republic, but had pledged their loyalty to the Galactic Organization. During wartime, the Jedi Order would occasionally serve as military leaders and even answer to the Senate. Although for the most part, the Republic kept its nose out of internal Jedi affairs, and Jedi usually didn't lobby for specific interest groups or parties. So if we look at the Republic between the Ruusan Reformation and the rise of the New Order, we see a very limited government. It mostly allowed planetary and regional governments to take care of their own affairs and use their own systems of law. There are some galactic-wide laws like banning slavery, but because of the diverse mix of alien species and cultures that made up the Republic, it was kind of difficult for the Senate to pass galactic-wide legislation. On a scale of authoritarian to libertarian, I would say that the Republic falls just south of the median. The massive scale of the government means that the Republic will be involved in many aspects of running the galaxy, but in reality, the size of the galaxy and the autonomy given to the individual planets help insulate the citizens of the galaxy from the authority of the Republic. The Republic does seem to have more power when dealing with interplanetary relations, especially with trade. But whatever taxes they levy, that's already on top of tariffs and taxes that local planets already have. It's also possible for two groups like the Naboo and Trade Federation to make their own deals without oversight of the Republic. It's only when things really got out of hand that the Republic would be called in for mediation. So I would say that the Republic has a mixed economy, which is just right of the median. While it does have financial policy and enacts legislation to support it, the Republic is more of a mediator rather than a policymaker. Well guys, that's our analysis of the Galactic Republic and where it sits on the political spectrum. If you really think about it, the Republic was more of a confederation than a strong federal government. In many ways, it reminds me of the UN, full of committees and legislation, but in the end, it has very little real power and is funded by a core group of wealthy countries. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and like us on Facebook. Don't forget to check out the rest of the series. We've already covered the Separatist Alliance and the Galactic Empire as well. Well guys, thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.